Hi, hello. Hi, hello. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be going live tonight. For those who do not know me, my name is The Arthi, and I am a life coach. I'm a life coach that specializes in helping people move from where they are to where they want to be. So I enjoy seeing people remove obstacles, remove barriers, remove self-limiting beliefs. So again, my name is Diarthi, and that's who I am. So I'm a little bit, I will say, not myself as much today. And the reason is, and I will share this with you, all my friends, is that 18 years ago on today, my mom transitioned to heaven. She was diagnosed with ovarian cancer maybe 2 years prior. And unfortunately, after much fighting, the cancer came back and spread. So we as a family knew that she may not have as much time as we would like for her to have on this earth. So, but it was still, as you know, when you lose someone, it's a shock. And for those who are in the boat with me who have lost their moms, it doesn't matter what the relationship was or is or was at that time. I truly believe you feel like, I know for me, I will say for me, I felt a little lost during that time when my mom transitioned because I was only in my early 30s, and I was not married or had any kids, and so it just was a different feeling. I am much better than I used to be when it came to like this day of the year. But I will say that it does kind of sometimes sneaks up on me. And it was interesting because normally I will look at the calendar and I would think, okay, August 29th is coming. And so I will take off a half day. And one thing my mom and I where we did when she was going through her chemo, and I would take her to her appointments. Sometimes we would go see a movie, or and our family really liked bowling. So I would on the 29th try to like go see a movie or go bowling, or maybe even just go walk around some stores just to get out the house. Well, it didn't happen today. I remember, but I didn't remember, and so I did not clear my calendar this afternoon for work, and so I ended up getting off work at a certain time. I had an appointment to go to, and then I found myself just tired. So if I seem kind of like a little like not my chipper old jolly self, then that's the reason why. But I committed to going live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I want to keep my commitment to you. And I want to share because many times um, healing and grieving, the grieving process, many times that is sharing. And so I felt like maybe I just need to share a little bit about my journey with you understanding my mom. Maybe that will help you as well. So, getting to the meat of why we are here together. I am less than 2 weeks away from moving to my new state. And if you haven't watched any of the other videos in this series, My Transition Journey, please go back and watch it because we are on the third segment of this. I think it's going to be six, maybe seven segments because seven means completion. So maybe we'll do seven. But I am like less than 2 weeks away. So I spent a lot of time this weekend packing. I went and bought all paper products so I can pack up all my dishes. And fortunately for me, it's just me, and I've already downsized and a lot over the last couple years. So I really do have just like a set of four plates, saucers, mugs, and um, bowls that were set. But then I have like a little bit of plasticware, and then I also have, oh my gosh, I have like over 30 coffee mugs because I love coffee mugs. And so I had a cabinet just full of coffee mugs. So I packed all those up as well. I did give away maybe two out of those, so I may be down to 28. So I packed, and I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, I still need to take these off the walls because if I have unfortunately put a hole in the wall, I need to patch it up. And so with me now less than 14 days away, I need to start doing that type of work as well. And I also cleaned out most of my kitchen cabinets, and I have a laundry room that has like a chef. I cleaned that out, so I'm making a lot of progress. I think I'm about 75% packed, and that 75% is because as a project manager, you're just used to like looking at the whole project and kind of figuring out like what if I have this much left, what the percentage is, and I would just guesstimate that it's about 75% done, with 25% being left. Um, so that's what I did over the weekend, and then one of my I'm a part of the Sister Circle here in Alabama, and they had a get together, and everybody was giving me well wishes. So that was really nice too. So that was a nice way to nice part of my weekend. So, oh man, I'm like less than 2 weeks away. So now, we talked about last week. Tuesday we talked about the first segment was about um praying. So listening to God, praying, like knowing that okay, I need to transition, whether it's a move to a new state, whether it is I need to transition to a new career, a new job, a new company. I'm transitioning from being just married, me and my spouse, and now we're about to have a baby. It's so many different ways that we transition in life. And so I believe this content will be helpful and of value to you and to anyone who listens to it, pretty much. So the first segment was about okay, I'm at that point. I'm listening to my intuition. I know I need to move. I'm feeling that uncomfortability, or I'm just sad, but I just know it's time to move. And I believe God has told me it's time to transition. So now I need to pray about it. And so that was the first one, praying and then listening. And the second segment was about planning. So now that you know you need to transition, now that you know, and you prayed about it, and God has confirmed in many different ways that this is the right path for you. The second step was let's start planning. Before I even pick, like for me, it was like with this move, it was knowing I was gonna move from Alabama to Texas. And but I had not picked where. Like I had kind of an idea of the area because of some variables, but I didn't know exactly what city or what street I would live on or anything like that. So the next step was to plan. So planning meaning looking at not necessarily thinking about w- not thinking about like where you want to move, but more thinking about when you want to move. And I talked about in that segment the really how important it is to list your dependencies. Like what are things that will affect your timeline. I know for me, it was this move. I knew I didn't want to move in the summer. Plus, my lease was not up until September, and I did not want to break my lease. I chose not to. Um, when I was moving with a family from Missouri to Illinois, it was the one dependency was our boys were still in school, and we didn't want to take them out of school at the end of before the end of their school year. We decided to just wait. So you have dependencies that you want to write down. So that's all about planning, really understanding that, understanding your timeline. understanding really how much time do you really need to do the things you need to do in order to have a successful move. So that's important as well. So number three, today's segment is research. I am a big researcher. So usually if I want to buy something, um, I usually do a lot of research. Like I will go, like if I think about, oh, I need something, especially a big purchase. Like I remember when I moved here, I had to buy a new TV, and I was like, oh, what TV to buy? So many TVs in the marketplace. So I did. I had a TV in my brand in mind that I had purchased before that worked out really nice, and so I decided that initially, like I want to go with that brand. But then I was thinking maybe there's other brands that or different models or different things that I want to be aware of. And so I did more research for that. So when it comes to number three, research, there's three questions that I'm going to answer. So the first question is, what did I research when it came to my transition? Number two, what resources did I use to research? And number three, how long did I research? So um, when it came to my move, what did I research? So after I really had known that I want to, move, and I started to look at the timing, I want to move in September. For this move in particular, I decided to spend some time in Dallas Fort Worth area, and I decided to that I wanted to spend 2 weeks there. Fortunately for me, I do have a remote um, or a job that is remote. So, and to be somewhere else for 2 weeks was not something that I had to get approval for or talk to my manager about because I was on the same time zone and I was able to work while I was there. Like I didn't take any vacation days. And I went there like during 4th of July holiday, so I had that holiday, but I was able to do all my work. So it was important to me, and that was part of my research was to have my car in Dallas Fort Worth area and drive on the highways and go to the stores and go to restaurants and just be around the people of Dallas Fort Worth because sometimes this happens. You move to a city or a state, and you really get that the culture doesn't mix. So some of you may not have the opportunity to go stay in that city or state for a little period of time, or even if you can stay for a weekend, I would recommend that. Just go stay at a hotel, be there for the weekend. If you have family where you're moving, see if you can stay with your family for a weekend or a couple of days because it just helps you with your research. So when I went there those 2 weeks, I had two cities in mind that I based upon based upon my research of YouTube. YouTube is amazing when it comes to looking at cities and states because so many people they film the area. So it's interesting because if you look at a video, like one state, I was looking at a video, and when I went to the city, I'm sorry, I looked at the video when I went to the city. I was like, I remember this from the videos that were on YouTube. So I think that's important as well, is to if you have an opportunity to go. So I research the cities that I want to live in. I researched the culture of the cities that I chose, and it was 2 cities. Now, again, Dallas-Fort Worth area is huge, so there's many, many cities, but I picked cities that were in a good proximity to the church that I belong to, that I wanted to start attending in person, and I wanted it to be in a not too far from my family that's there, and I also wanted it to be close to an airport because right now to go to an international airport, I have to drive 2 hours from my home. And that was one of the things that I knew that when I did move to a new city, I definitely wanted to be no more than 30 minutes from an international airport. So those were 3 big things for me. So when I started doing my research, I researched the city, the culture of the people, Um, the things about like there are so many videos about like the name would be like what not to do in or why you shouldn't come here. And then when you watch it, it's really a positive video. I watch a lot of those as well to give me, and they would have some things that were a disadvantage or an an opportunity, right? And so I would watch those as well. So that's one of the things that I did research for my move. The other thing I had to research this move that was a little different. Well, not really, because in every move I always had to figure out what how I want to move, whether it was um, renting a truck and having somebody drive it down, whether it was hiring a moving company. For them, when I moved from Illinois to Alabama, it was just me and what was in my car and my dog. So I just had to. I didn't really have to research anything for that move because I knew I was not going to pack up everything. I was going to put things in storage as a holder until I figured out where what I wanted to do. And so, but for this move to Dallas, because it is across many states and it's like 11.5 hour drive if you're in the car. I just knew I did not want to rent a truck and drive a truck or put my car on a trolley and all of that. I knew that would not make my move to be and my transition to be a peaceful. It would be more stressful. So for me, part of my research was researching moving companies and figuring out which moving company would be best. And so I did. So once I made that decision back in um I went down there in February, probably in March when I was like, yeah, Dallas has become top on my list. As a planner, I started right away thinking about how I would get my things there. So I even researched. This is funny because one of the things I did research was, what if I sold all my furniture and started over, right? And so I researched like where would I buy furniture in the city that I want to move to. So those are little things that it could help you make better decisions. And so I would say any questions you have, you want to research. If you have kids, of course, you're going to research the school districts. You're going to research if you want to put them in private school, where is that at? How does it look? If you are looking for a church home, you want to research the churches in the area you want to live. It's so many things. So I would say that research could just grow, 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 grow. So for me, starting in probably February, yeah, February when I got back from Dallas for I was there for about 4 days, 4 or 5 days. February when I got back, that's when I went full research. So almost every other evening, on YouTube, on websites. I'm looking at stuff. And one of the things that I do, which is really, I don't know if anyone does this. So if you do this, let me know. But one thing that I do is I also look at the page for the city. So like for instance, every city, if you didn't notice, every city has a page that has like what's happening in the city. It has things that residents need to know, like how to get a permit for these things, how to pay your garbage bill, things like that. But it also gives sometimes some news as well. So I will look up that city's website and just go through it and see if there are what they're putting out there, and try to get a feel for the culture of the city. And then I will also, most cities, especially, this happened before COVID too, because when we moved from Missouri to Illinois, it was before COVID, and the city that I was thinking about moving to, that was top of my list, I started looking them up, and they would actually stream and show it on YouTube their like monthly city meetings. And so I would go and watch their city meetings. And this was before COVID. So I think cities were already doing that, which is really cool. And also what I did too, because I knew the district that my stepsons would go to if we moved to that city, I actually started to watch the school board's meetings to see what were the nuances, what were things people complaining about, what was the board supportive. And so I started doing that, and that helped me understand too, a little more of the culture of that city. So those were the things that I researched. What resources did I use to research? I kind of got into that already, but YouTube, um, Facebook. Facebook is another one because you can search for groups, and you can search for, especially, okay, let's say you're a person that like to eat at nice restaurants, right? And so that could be important to you when you move to a new city, where you can find out if that city has a Facebook page about their restaurants. Most cities do. So you can find that. You can actually kind of have an idea what restaurants you want to try before you even move to the city, which is really cool. And then the other resource I used was people. Like I talked to people who live in Dallas Fort Worth area, and I would ask them about the two cities I was interested in. For me, one of my cousins used to live in one of the cities that I was interested in, so she gave me the ins and out of it. And then my other cousin actually had colleagues that live in the second city that I was looking at. And so they both gave me some insight, which was good. So talking to people who live in the area, if you can, is great. Or even if you're transitioning to a new, you want to transition to a new company, um, being able to being able to maybe reach out to people who work at the company if you can on LinkedIn to just talk to them and understand the culture. I think culture is one of the things that is important when you transition because you can move somewhere and realize, or get a new job and realize that the culture that doesn't fit, you don't fit with the culture, or the culture doesn't fit you. So I think it's very important to understand that and research that, and that helps also with the momentum and excitement. So I feel like if I had not researched before I went to visit in June, I would have been all over the place. And there were times that I had two cities in mind when I went there in June. Then I was thinking, oh, maybe I like this city. And then I started looking at that city while I was there, and I was like, no, 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 because I wrote down a list of things that I wanted in the city that I want to live in. So I had to stay focused, and that's the other thing I would say. Research helps you zone in to what you want versus being pulled every which way because you haven't done the research. And then sometimes when you are pulled every which way, you people can influence you, and all of a sudden you're somewhere you didn't plan to be. So I would say research, 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 investigate, inquire, ask questions. Um, Definitely do that. So my next question is, how long did I research? For me, I think I started in February, when I February, early March, when I got back from Dallas after my first visit, and I researched all the way up until I researched like the different cities, and then when I went there at the end of June, I was in those cities. I went to my first city, and I fell in love. So I was like, well, I really don't need to go to the second city because I just really liked the first city and the area that I had been researching. I really felt like this could be my home, right? And so then it was about the where, like what apartment complex I want to live in and what did that look like. So then I started to research apartment complex. And then once I picked my apartment complex, I you know, signed my agreement while I was there to have a move date of September because remember, I had already did my planning. So I already knew when I wanted to move. So I didn't go into an apartment complex saying, yeah, maybe like October, November, or maybe December. I really went in saying, I need to move in this window. What do you have available during this window? And I think and I know I would say leasing agents appreciate when you come to them with a window versus saying, "Well, I could move here, I could move there," and that planning that we talked about before really helped me zone in as well. And so once I got my apartment when I was there in June for a September move, then my next really group of research was about who's going to move me, who's going to help me move, what resources am I going to use to do that, and I started to research that. So your research will change as you each phase of your transition. It will I won't say it would change, but it would evolve. So you would start with one, two things you need to research, and then as you decide on that, okay, I decided on that. Now I need to research again. Like I got to the point, and I don't know, like for me, where I am now, it was one the complex set here is one internet provider. So it was simple. I didn't have to research it. But my new place, I have two options. So now I need to research, and it's not an option that I use currently. So now I need to research what's the best one for the area for someone who works remotely. Because I want to make sure I don't have um, broadband issues, internet issues, connectivity issues. I want to make sure I don't have that. So that was the part of the research. And that's how long your research can be really it's gonna be long. It's probably gonna be up until you're like me, I'm at the last less than 2 weeks away. Um, and so my research is pretty much done, but it has shifted to be honest, because now my research is about what's happening in my city over the next couple of weeks. Like once I get there in September, what are some events that are happening in my city and around the city I'm gonna live in so I can get engaged and get out there and do things and be social. So that's the next level for me of my research. Whew. I feel like I've been talking for a while. But I know I spent a little time talking about my what I'm going through today, but I also wanted to really cover research a little more in detail because I feel like that's a step that we sometimes don't spend as much time on, and we don't realize that data and information is our friend. And the more data and information that we have, the better we can make our decisions. So when people, you know, look at me or think and they say, "Wow, you're moving in this and you're not stressed," it's just because I've listened to God, I pray, listen to God, I have planned, and I have research. And so those three steps are very important. So on Thursday or the next segment number 4 is going to be about now that I've done all that, I've done my research, letting go. And so I'm going to give you some things that I have done to help me let go of things because I do feel like when you are transitioning, especially in a move, it's an amazing opportunity to purge things that are in that drawer, in that closet, in that tote that you have not looked at since the last time you moved to where you are now. And now many, many years later you're moving and now you're like, well, let me just carry this tote with me. And so I'm going to talk about that. And I may spend a little more time on that as well because I think it's important to understand that every transition is a new chapter. So you have to kind of ask yourself, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but I feel like I should say this. You have to ask yourself, do I need to take this in my new chapter? Is it beneficial in my new chapter? Is it of value in my new chapter, right? And so that helps with letting go. So I thank you for joining today's segment on I forgot the name that fast on research, and I hope that this was beneficial for you as it has been for me to be able to share my journey, my transition journey with you. But as I end my time today, I wanted to just mention I am in the process, I am hosting a 5-week personal growth mastermind class that is going to start on Tuesday evening, October 3rd. So it's going to be 5 weeks. The QR code is on the screen. If you would like to be a part of this mastermind class, scan the QR code and register, and I will reach out to you. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me with your questions, and I will answer those. And as I end my time with you today, I just want to let you know I really appreciate all of you who are my friends, who follow me and who support me um, while I'm in this transition journey. And so it's going to be interesting to see if I'm going to be at the same level of peace that I am today next week. I think I will be. I don't have any worries right now. So I thank you again, and I want to leave you with this: keep going, keep growing, keep moving forward, and bye for now.